Since I have an icon pass, immediately when we got the paperclip, the first idea I had was to find someone with an icon pass and get them to give a free discount to the next person in the trade. Because if you already bought the pass, it's free to give out a discount. So I figured people would be willing to do that for just a paperclip. So I kind of figured we could find a friend that would be willing to give up one of their 10 discounts. And so then we all started looking for people we know that have passes that would be willing to do this.
Yeah. So then I called my friend and I tried to pitch him the idea, and he wasn't too interested because he said like there's no value for paperclip. So that taught me that like the paperclip kind of means nothing. It's more about like the story. So like in the first call, I think I wasn't like storytelling enough about like why we're trying to do this. And then I called my other friend and then I spoke with him. And instead of kind of telling him about the paperclip and asking for that in exchange, I spent the first 5 minutes of the call just telling him about how he would help us in this journey and how it would be like super meaningful and impactful and cool for us to show this off in our class and like what it means to us as a group. And from that, he was very willing to give up the ski, like the discounted ski tickets because like I was able to express to him the value that he would help us with. All right, so this is our first trade. We're gonna trade the red paper clip for icon pass. And this is Matt, and he's part of the journey. And the trade is gonna happen now.
So right now we're a couple days into this red paperclip project, and we have a discount for an icon ski lift ticket. I've been asking around a ton, really cannot find someone that wants to take it. I have two friends that are going on a ski trip soon, and I thought that they might be like a taker, but they don't know for sure that they're gonna go. Luckily though, I was in class and one of my friends said that his mom and sister might be going skiing and that they could be interested in a discount. So I think I'm gonna try to call his mom. So luckily she agreed to be part of the trade, and we called and kind of rifled through some items. She offered a blow dart gun, which I didn't think would maybe be like the most relevant for everyone. But then she found a wallet in her son's closet that hadn't really been used. It was Rolex brand, a leather like coin wallet. Um, they retail for about 145 and maybe resell for like 40, $50. So this was getting us ahead of that $30 value for the icon pass. So I thought that'd make a good trade.
Yeah, so then from the Rolex wallet, I posted in like my group me for fraternity, and then my friend texted me and said he's interested. So I FaceTimed him, and again, kind of like before I kind of went to the trade, I talked about our objective of why we're doing this and like what this class is and how we've gone this far already. And then he's like, okay, that's cool. I'm interested in the wallet. So then he FaceTimed me and showed me his room. He like saw this camera, like in a camera bag, and then he was like, okay, what do you think of this? And immediately I was like, yeah, let's do this because it was like much higher value than what we had. Yo, it's good. I'm trading a Rolex wallet for a camera.
Yo, Nito. Yeah.
When I was talking to him, I told him that your price at 250. And I think that kind of like increased the value of the wallet in his eyes, even though he could like look it up and see it's worth less. The fact that I called him and told him like on the phone that it's worth this amount of money, I think kind of increased the value in his eyes. So something that we learned also is like value is really based on perception. And for him, like that $200 means more to him than kind of the $700 of the camera.
So then once we got the camera, we were really excited because we got to an item of a really high value really quickly. And so we didn't really think, I guess, have a lot of forethought yet into who we would give the camera to, but we kind of assumed it would be like a really valuable item that a lot of people would want. So I posted on Facebook Marketplace to try to get items of higher value since college students don't necessarily have things that would be worth even like $600, $700. So we thought this would be a better way to reach a bigger network of people. And at first, it seemed really promising. I was getting a lot of responses. I put a description of the project in the post, and I got some people just messaging back like, "This is such a cool project. Like, how did you get to this camera?" So I think like the story resonated with a lot of people, and that was a good thing. And got a lot of responses, but unfortunately, it got almost like too many responses. I ended up with it was like 275 messages total on the post over like 3 days. And so my phone was just kind of blowing up like crazy, and it was really hard to keep track of like who was actually a serious buyer, like who was a contender to actually respond to and kind of pursue to try to get something. And so it was just very time consuming to like weed through everything and find that out. We got a decent amount of offers for different gaming stations, so like PS4s, Xboxes. So that kind of gave us the idea that that would be a good thing to look for. But then it became like everyone wasn't responding, messages just like people weren't actually willing to meet up and make this trade, and we had a limited amount of time at this point. So unfortunately we had to pivot and kind of go back to our network of people. One thing I noticed with the camera was we had to kind of get away from positional based negotiation. So obviously at first we just really wanted something worth more than the camera, and that was kind of our reservation value, is that we didn't want to go below anything that would be below the camera, because we wanted to keep working up to end up with something at a really high value. But we kind of had to get away from that and think about it might be worth it to trade down, but to something that is easily marketable, to just continue our trading and find something that might still be of a lot of value to people that isn't necessarily, just this one monetary metric, but just thinking more about interest-based negotiation and getting away from just our one position of this is worth $600 and we need something more. And I knew one of my friends had a laptop that she wasn't using anymore, and it was a MacBook, and the touchpad was cracked, but the computer still worked. So I traded the camera for the laptop.
All right, here you go.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I think that we probably would have ended up at a higher value than what we did, because like as Nadine was saying, like there was a lot of people on Facebook responding to her, and the issue was that we had to like verify there was like a real person and the product was real, and like also like it's like kind of sketchy sometimes, so like a lot of those factors had to be like kind of talked about with them for at least 2 or 3 days, but like we didn't have those 2 or 3 days to talk about them. Like, so I think if we had more time we could have those longer conversations and actually be able to find like a better buyer on the marketplace.
I also agree that we would have probably gotten up to a higher value, but also we were like we were moving towards making a deal with one of the like PlayStation or game consoles, and I think that our like community of like college students would have been really, really good for that, and there would have been like a high amount of attention that people wanted for that gaming console, and I think that would have led to a lot of more deals.
I don't even know what would have been past like the $1,000 range, like a couch maybe. And I don't even know. And I think that was the hard thing of this project, was it was sometimes easier to have whatever you wanted next in mind before and try to seek that out. But there's such a range of possibilities. I can't even begin to think about what would have been worth $900, $1,000 that we could have like sought out in some way. I think that was one of the harder parts of this project. But the fun side of that, though, was that we had no idea what was coming next. I feel like I couldn't have predicted any of our trades. So it was really cool to get to see like what would happen the next round.
So this is our final item, the drumstick from the Imagine Dragons concert, which has the name of the drummer on it. So we think that this would be really valuable to someone who's really interested in the band. This was from a concert where he threw the drumstick into the audience, so it seems like something that's harder to obtain. And so our plans for the future might be to raffle this off, and if the right participant is there, it could go for a lot of money if someone's willing to spend a lot to get it. So yeah.
Something that I hadn't considered much throughout this project was personal interest. I think that fits in really well with the drumstick, because obviously if you find the right person who has a real interest in the band, then they'll definitely be more inclined to give you a better trade.
I think one of the cool things about this project was I was looking back at our plan from the first meeting we had, and we said our aspiration value was something in the $300 to $500 range, which we kind of like, we did. I mean, the camera is probably a little bit above that, and definitely the MacBook, and then the drumstick kind of falling like somewhere in that relative range. I'm pretty happy with that outcome. I feel like that was, again, aspirational at the beginning. We didn't think we could really get up to that. That would have been like our fifth trade would have just broken the threshold of $300.